Hey, what's up? It's Sungano here, talking about navigating my life in my 30s. And this channel is dedicated to different discussion topics on how I'm getting more clarity on what I want in my career, life, relationships, basically everything in between. And so you'll find that the videos on my channel talk about what I'm learning, what I've learned in the past, insights, and just sharing all of that with y'all in the hopes that you can learn something. I learned something in the process of doing this as well, and we just have that knowledge sharing. So for today's video, it's going to be a book review. So if you've seen the other book review videos on my channel, they're very much career focused, and this is in the same realm of that whole trying to figure out more about my career and getting more clarity. So the book that I will be talking about today is 80,000 Hours by Benjamin Todd and the 80,000 Hours team. And how I found out about this book is through a book that I read a couple of months ago called The Quarter Life Breakthrough. I've linked that video below if you want to know more information about that book. But essentially, that book recommends 80,000 hours as a little reference point just to get more resources to navigate career and getting more ideas. And so, yeah, I decided to check out what this is all about, and I got the book and we'll talk about it today. So just for background context, 80,000 Hours is a nonprofit in the UK, and it works on research thinking about career choice and provides online help and personal help and resources and research into what they're doing so that people can have more fulfilling careers in life. And I think it's an amazing organization, and yeah, we'll get into it. So with the book, I would say a big focus is thinking about impact and how you want to have that in your career, and the good the impact will be, and being good at it in the process. And I think this was the first time where I had been challenged to really think more about what impact could mean, because the book really challenges the reader to go outside the box in terms of thinking of what a fulfilling career is. And with the book, it talks also about refraining from thinking about following your passions. I think that's something where I have had a hard time with, because I've never had a clear passion, and it calls that out, that not everyone is going to have that passion, which I really appreciated from the get-go. And it talks about getting good at something and doing that good and helping others, and basically do what contributes. Because I think at the end of the day, it's like baseline, I think everyone has this desire to help people, but finding a way for you where you're doing good and something you're good at and contributing to the world is the takeaway that I took from the book. So anyways, really appreciated how it frames that and challenges you to just not think about a fulfilling career in what we think about a doctor, a social worker, a lawyer, which are great careers, but that's not everyone's calling or go-to. And be able to just really take a step out of that framework and what else is out there. And there are other options. And that's what the book tries to just really expose you with, so that you understand what is possible. So with that whole idea, a really interesting concept that the book touches upon, with the whole idea of like us thinking a doctor has a fulfilling career, it talks about these different metrics and the research that they did, and how in general the doctor in the UK is able to enable people to live an extra 120 years, and that's either by like a healthy life, or extending their lifespan by helping improve like their day to day. But when they look at the calculations and what that actually means, it means like an extra 4 lives saved as a whole. So I'm not going to get into the whole details of how they come up with those numbers, but I just thought it was really interesting how they're able to take more tangible numbers and think about what the actual impact is. So an extra 4 lives saved, which is like, that's not a bad thing. But thinking how there's more impact you can do and have a greater impact than that. If you weren't a doctor, for example, who was doing like basic practicing medicine or something like that. And so another example gives is a doctor who helped with the treatment of diarrhea. So I know it's kind of a weird one to talk about, but essentially there's a doctor that helped provide a treatment for diarrhea where at the time like diarrhea was killing like millions of kids, which I would have never known, but through his treatment that he like figured out, the death of children with diarrhea fell from 5 million to 1.3 million a year, and that's like saved over 50 million lives because of this treatment. Again, I'm not going to go into details about like what this person did and what the treatment was, but when you think about the impact on the numbers, that's incredible. And it's like this person isn't doing day to day like the doctor that we think of. This person was probably doing a lot of research. This person was behind the scenes. Like that's kind of the idea here, just thinking about other ways that you can have impact in your career. So from there, the book really discusses the idea of the world's most pressing problem. So when you think about impact and how you want to do that, it gives suggestions on how to think about how you could actually tackle that. And there are 4 suggestions that the book provides. So the first is trying to look at problems that are neglected. Second, problems that have a large scale. Third, problems that are solvable. And 4, having a way that you find your personal fit throughout these different factors that I've called out in terms of problem and doing something you're good at. So it's like if you could figure out, you found the problem that's been neglected, has a big impact, it's solvable, but you're not good at it and don't have a personal fit, I don't know if that's gonna be really fulfilling, So that's the idea of like thinking about those 4 points. That way it is fulfilling for you and you're having impact in what you're doing in the process. So I really liked how it called that out. And I'm not, again, I don't want to spoil too much because there's a lot of good stuff in here. I'm not gonna lie, but with those 4 problem areas or suggestions in terms of figuring out how you could look at impact, the book provides problem profiles. So it's identified some problem areas in the world right now that could use a little attention, that could be a fit for you given XYZ factors that have been neglected, but do have the potential to have a big impact. And so some ideas that they've called out, which I'll just give a little, 1 or 2, has been AI in the future and like the risks of AI. And I think that's a really big one because AI is very much, it's growing very rapidly right now and we just don't know the effects of it in the future. And so that's like one area that is kind of being neglected in terms of that. Another one that's called out was air pollution, specifically in South Asia. So anyways, they basically have these problem profiles that they kind of talk through the problem, how it's been neglected, the scale and how much it could be impacted, and how it could be solvable, excuse me. And yeah, so I think that's a really nice fit in how they've kind of called out the idea of impact, thinking outside the box, providing you with some ideas and areas that you could look into if you're interested in, but also giving you the freedom to kind of explore what other problems there could be in the world and how you could contribute, because at the end of the day, the whole takeaway is do what contributes. So I think it's a really cool way to look at it overall. Um, and then lastly, the book really talks about more of like the career planning aspect of things. So once you've kind of identified where you want to hone in your focus on, it gives different resources on making a plan of how you want to like kind of execute the next steps to get there. It talks more about the more like job hunting aspect, networking, all that stuff. And that's not too much of the book, I'll say, because I think we have a lot of resources on how to do that in general. So the book just kind of highlights their suggestions on how to do that. But a lot of it, everything else is a lot more about the actual idea of impact, world's pressing problems, finding your personal fit. So that's more the meat of it, which I really, really appreciated. But overall, in the end of the day, I would recommend reading this book. Highly recommend, especially if you want to have more of a social impact with your career and just having more tangible ideas and steps to kind of get there. The book does lay out research and what they've done so far, so it gives you more confidence in what they're doing and their mission and how they're trying to help people get into these fulfilling careers. After every chapter, there are supplemental exercises that you could do. So there's definitely a lot of good stuff in here that I would recommend. So I will link the website to 80,000 Hours below. And fun fact, they send this book out for free. So I would recommend getting this book for free. And yeah, taking a little peruse through it. But yeah, once you're done reading the book, I must say that they also offer a service, which I have not done yet. I'm going to look into it, where they give you one-on-one time with one of their career advisors. So I'm gonna definitely do that. And hopefully they can select me, because I think it's like a process we have to apply. But I think it's a really cool thing that they are really taking it seriously and they want to provide people with help and the resources and finding the right way. But yeah, love to hear any questions in the comments, any more insights. And if you've read this book, I would also love to hear that, because I've not really come across many people who've heard of this. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll link below this book so you have it as well. And yeah, would love to hear more.